Hope you had a good day. Welcome back. We're going to keep going with linear inequalities. We're going to do a little bit more complicated ones. These problems today could require using distribution, combining of like terms, addition, multiplication properties, getting rid of fractions, and what I call nested problems when you have a variable kind of centered between two inequality symbols. So we'll get started and make our way through this. All right. When you're solving these inequalities, I want you to follow through this kind of checklist. Write down the original problem. Please don't attempt these without doing that. Distribute. Use distribution first to removing any grouping symbols. Some problems you may not need that, so that's an as-needed basis. Combine like terms on each side of the inequality sign. That should be an inequality sign. Inequality. Okay. Move all your variables to the left. That will help you in getting the direction of your solutions on your graph going in the right direction. Move all your constants to the right. Finally undo any coefficient by either multiplication or division, maybe both. Remember to flip your inequality sign if you are dividing or multiplying by a negative number. Let's try this first problem. Again, on your homework, please write down the original problem so that when I come around to help you, I can see the starting point. Thanks, I appreciate that. This problem doesn't have any grouping symbols, so distribution is not needed. We're just going to skip that step. I am going to combine. I have a constant, two constants on the left, so I have 3x minus 3 is going to be greater than, I have a negative x and a positive 2x, so that gives me a positive 1x plus 7. Okay. I'm going to move my variables to the left by subtracting x from both sides. That leaves me with 2x minus 3 is greater than 7. I'm going to move my constant to the right by adding 3. And I get 2x is greater than 10, and I'm going to divide by a positive, which does not require me to flip the direction of my inequality. So I have x is greater than 5. I'm going to call this my 0. Here's my 5. All right. Look at your inequality. Doesn't have the equal sign underneath. So I'm going to use a parenthesis, okay, on the 5. And then I need everything bigger than 5, which means that I have to go to the right. All right. Notice that my line is going the same direction as my inequality symbol because my x, my variable, is on the left. In interval notation, I have parenthesis 5, comma, positive infinity, parenthesis. Remember, with the infinities, you never use a bracket. You always use a parenthesis with on the side of your infinity symbol. All right, solve graph and write your answer in interval notation. Again, same direction. So your homework, please write down the original problem. I've written it down for you here. Distribute. I have a negative 1 to distribute here. Hopefully you're recognizing that by now. So I have 5x. This is the effect of a sign flipper. Minus x plus 2 is going to be less than 7x minus 5. I have like terms to combine on the left. 5x minus x gives me 4x plus 2 is less than negative 7. X minus 5 is less than, that's not a negative 7x, that's a positive 7x. All right. I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides. Okay. So that gives me negative 3x plus 2 is less than negative 5. Then I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get negative 3x is less than negative 7. Then I'm going to divide by 3. I'm getting a weird number. Just let me double check here real quick. Plus, so 5x minus 1, that's 4. Okay, that's okay. We can handle a fraction, no big deal. Just checking to make sure I did that intentionally. I'm going to divide by a negative 3. So that means my x is greater than a positive 7/3. All right, so if that was 9/3, that would be 3. So I'm in between 2 and 3. So here is 7/3. Okay, I need to use a bracket because it is greater than without the equals, and then everything has to go off to the right. So in interval notation, I have 7/3, parentheses, 7/3, comma, positive infinity bracket. Parentheses, parentheses, parentheses. All right, next problem, we need to distribute. So I get 5x minus 15 minus 7x is greater than or equal to 4x minus 12 plus 9. Several things to combine. 5x and a negative 7x, that is negative 2x, minus 15 is greater than or equal to 4x, and then I have the negative 12 and the 9 minus 3. I'm going to move my variable to the left by subtracting 4x from both sides. That's a 4 minus 4x, and I get negative 6x minus 15 is greater than or equal to negative 3. I have to add 15 to both sides. So I get negative 6x is greater than or equal to a positive 12. Divide by negative 6. Flip the direction of my inequality sign. X is less than or equal to a negative 2. So if this is 0, here's negative 2. All right. My inequality includes the equal sign, so I'm going to have to use a bracket. I need everything going to the left. So here, and then I bracket at 2. And in interval notation, because I have this line going off to the left, that's negative infinity. Negative infinity always uses a parenthesis, comma, negative 2 bracket. All values of x less than negative 2. The next one, let's clear this denominator first. All right, it'll make our life a whole lot easier. Common denominator is 6. Multiply every term by 6. So I'm going to multiply this term by 6, and this term by 6, and this term by 6. All right? In this instance, in this case, the 3 cancels into the 6 2 times, so I have 2 times negative 2. That gives me negative 4 in front of that grouping symbol. All right, now 6 times a half, that's 6 divided by 2, that becomes a 3, so that's minus 3. Again, I have 6 times a half, so that becomes a 3, 5 minus r. Now distribute. See how I cleared that all out? Makes life a whole lot easier. Those of you that are resisting trying that, please please give it a whirl. It might help you. Distribute negative 4x plus 12, that's a negative 4 times a negative 3, minus 3 is less than 15 minus 3r. Okay, on the left-hand side I can combine some constants. That is a 12 there. Okay, so I'm going to combine. I get negative 4x plus 9 is less than 15 minus 3r. I'm going to move my r's to the left. In this case, I'm going to add 3r to both sides. Oh my. Let's just make these all x's. My apologies. I don't know. But I am not about to. There we go. Alright, let's move my variable x to the left by adding 3x. I just had a typo here, folks. Not to worry. I'm sorry I didn't catch that in the very beginning. Plus 3x here. And I'm going to get a negative x plus 9 is less than 15. I'm going to subtract 9, and I get negative x is less than 6. And then I'm going to divide through by a negative 1, and I get x is greater than negative 6. All right, so that means that I'm going to go off to infinity to the right. So let me find negative 6 here real quick. If this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, here's negative 6. I'm going to use a parenthesis because this symbol indicates that I should do that. And then I'm going to go to the right because my arrow is pointing to the right with my variable sitting to its left. So here is the solution in interval notation is negative 6, comma, positive infinity, both with parentheses, using parentheses. All right. Check this one, make sure I only have one variable and it's the same. Yes. Okay. Again, you want to try this one, put it on pause, give it a whirl, come back and see how you did. Remember to clear your denominator first. All right, welcome back. I'm going to multiply every single term by 4. All right. So this 1/4 is sitting out in front of this grouping symbol, so this is all one term. This 2 is separated by a plus sign, so it's a term. And then on the right-hand side, I have one term only. All right. So 4 times 1/4, that cancels and you get 1. And you have x plus 3 plus 2 is less than or equal to the 4's cancel 3 in front of x plus 8. Distribute. This side really doesn't have any distribution. It's just x plus 3 plus 2 is less than or equal to 3x plus 24. I can combine on the left-hand side. X plus 5 is less than 3x plus 24. I'm going to move my variable left by subtracting 3x from both sides, and I get negative 2x plus 5 is less than 24. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Again, I'm going to get a fraction. It looks like I get negative 2x is less than 19. And so that means x, I'm going to divide by a negative 2, which requires me to flip. So let me erase that for a second. Right here, so it's getting kind of close to my graph. So I get x is going to be greater than negative 19 halves. Okay, so 2 goes into 19 9 times, so that's like 9.5, negative 9.5. And so here we go. I have a 0 here. I've got to find negative 9.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.5. So this is negative 9.5, 9.5. All right, or negative 19 halves. And I need to use a, be careful you don't change your inequality symbol. I need to use a bracket because it includes it here. And it needs to be greater than. So I do that and I go off to the right. So I have a bracket, negative 9.5, comma, positive infinity parenthesis. Very good? Very good, very good, very good. Okay, now we're going to learn how to graph those nested, or actually solve, because we graphed some of these nested ones yesterday in the homework. So, you know you have a nested inequality when your variable is going to sit between, your variable sits between two endpoints, okay? So it sits between two numbers. The smaller number has to always be placed on the left. The larger number has to always be placed on the right, okay? Both symbols are always in the less than when you read it. 2 is less than, x is less than or equal to 7, all right? So that means that x is bigger than 2 but less than or equal to 7, okay? But they have to go in the same direction, and they both have to be pointing to the left. The goal is to isolate the variable in the center. You're going to do the exact same, you're going to use the same rules. You're just going to be applying those rules to all three segments. Here we go. Let's see what that really looks like. All right. Check to see if you're in the correct form. I have my smaller number on the left. I have my larger number on the right. Good there. My inequalities are both less thans. Good there. Okay. Now, in order to get this variable all by itself in the center, I'm going to have to add 5 to all the parts. Whoops. Let me change my pen here. I'm going to add 5. Whatever I do to the center, I got to do to the left, and I got to do to the right. Okay? So then I get 9 is less than or equal to 3x is less than 11. Now I have to undo this 3. So I'm going to divide by 3. And then I get 3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 11 thirds, which is like 3 2/3. So this one's going to be close together, all right? I'm going to make each one, maybe I can, if I make each one of these a third, if that's 0, this would be 1, this would be 2, this would be 3. I'm just doing this to give myself a little bit more space, okay? This would be 4, all right? So, I'm going to graph, remember my x's are going to go to the right of this number and then to the left of this number, and it's not going to cross over. So I have a bracket here, and I have a parenthesis here, and everything in the middle is where our solutions are. Okay, so in interval notation, bracket 3, comma, that's 11 thirds. Gosh, sometimes my writing is just really crummy. This is 11 thirds, okay? And then we go to 11 thirds here, which is just shy of 4. And then we use a parenthesis because of this inequality doesn't have the equals part with it, just like so. All right, if you'd like to try this one, hit the pause button and then come back and see how you did. Alrighty, welcome back. I checked that it was in the correct form because my smaller numbers to the left, my bigger numbers to the right, and the direction of my arrows is always pointing left. Okay, so I'm in the correct form. Now to solve this, I want to isolate my x term, so I'm going to add 1, add 1, add 1. Okay, and I end up with 3 is less than or equal to 3x, which is less than or equal to 9. I got some pretty numbers here. And then I divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, and I get 1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 3. Notice that both of my ends are going to have brackets because of my symbols there. So if this is 0, here's 1, here's 3. I'm going to bracket at 1, I'm going to bracket at 3, and I'm going to include everything in between them. And for my interval notation, it would be bracket 1, comma, 3, bracket. Just like that. All right. Again, check to see if it's in the correct form. -4 is smaller than +8. So -4, 8, smaller to the left, larger to the right. Both my symbols are pointing to the left. I'm good to go. So now I'm going to clear my denominator just because it's just easier. Life is easier when you do that. So you don't have to do it this way, but it is, to me, easier. Multiplying by a 3. I'm just going to get rid of it from the get-go. So I'm going to multiply by 3, 3. Now watch, 3 and 3. I'm multiplying each thing by 3. The reason I have to do this -1 here is because I don't have any grouping symbols, right, to offset that. So I have to multiply every single term by 3. So I get -12 is less than or equal to 2x, because these cancel, minus 3, which is less than or equal to 24. Then I'm going to add 3. And I get -9 is less than or equal to 2x, less than or equal to 27. And I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. And I actually get -9/2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 27/2. So my span is huge, huge, huge. I go from -4.5 to a +19.5. So I need these to have like big values. So if I put this here, and I say this is -3, this is going to be -6, -9, 9. So this is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, so this number here is like -4.5. So that's going to be right about here, off the -3. And 27.5 is 13.5, so that's going to be bigger than 12, like that. Oh, Eli wants out of his bed if you hear him start whining. So, and everything in between there, write an interval notation. It will be a negative bracket, -9/2, comma, positive 27 halves, bracket, just like that. And I believe we're at the end here. This are the problems that we're going to do tomorrow. I thank you for watching. If any of this you didn't understand, please watch it again and ask questions when we meet for class tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye.